all of you. Yeah, thank you once more. So now, to begin with, Anandaji, who is the head of in Paris, Grades, which is a branch. Here he will chant some devotion, and we will have and then Swami Vedananda will give the welcome address. I request Swami Vedananda present his devotional music.
I shall sing two songs. One, how the cosmos. The second song, station, is so of us. Both songs are in Sanskrit. Jaya Shiva Shankara, Jaya Shiva Shankara, Bhutava Shankara, Jaya Shiva Shankara, Bhasma Vilepana, Vilepana Sarpa Vibhusha Bhanga Vilochana Nityarate Bhanga Vilochana Nityarate Jai Shiva Jaya Shiva Bhasma Vilepana Bhasma Vilepana Sarpa Vibhusha Bhanga Vilochana Nityarate Shankara Smashana Charana Smashana Charana Vimochana Smashana Charana Papa Vimochana Tapa Vikandana Shuddhama Tapavikandana Shuddhamate Jai Shiva Shankara Jai Shiva Shankara मधुरम् चलनं मधुरं चलनं मधुरं हसितं मधुरं हसितं मधुरं गायति वनमाली मधुरं मधुरं गायति वनमाली मधुरम् गीतशुकपिक गीतशुकपिक मुखखग गीतशुकपिक मुखखग कुञ्जे कुटिलालक बहु नीरद कुञ्जे गाय मधुरं गायति वनं मधुरं 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 धामविभूषण हाङ्री तुलसी धामविभूषण जलज भवस्तुत सद्गुणशो गायति वनं मधुरं मधुरं मधुरम् परमाहंस हृदयोत्सवकारी परमाहंस हृदयोत्सवकारी परिपूरित मुरलीरवधारी वनमाली मधुरं मधुरं मधुरम् परमहंस हृदयोत्सवकारी परमहंस हृदयोत्सवकारी परिपूरित मुरलीरवधारी गायति वनमाली मधुरं 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 वनमाली. We shall begin our meditation for a few minutes.
Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Om peace, peace, peace. After this, Swami Vedananda ji will introduce the speakers, and then there will be an introduction of the topic that we are going to discuss today. But before that, in our ancient Vedic Hindu Vedantic tradition, all important events and ceremonies, any spiritual activity will always begin with presentation of Omkara in the form of blowing the conch. So today we are going to discuss a very important topic relevant to our times. It's a very auspicious day for us. Steve Satyavan Krolik to come here and perform that auspicious ceremony, which is normally what we do just the beginning of any important discussion. After praying to God, we do this. Please.
The first sound will be to welcome divinity and all the great souls that are here today. The second sound will be for self-liberation and inner freedom. The third sound will be for Mahadevi, all women and all children. Thank you.
Once again, we're very happy to be able to welcome you all here. This is the high point, you could say, of our liturgical year as far as the Vedanta Society is concerned. The whole society and many of its members have put in tremendous effort and tremendous dedication to make these facilities ready for this day and to be able to welcome you all here. This it's customary to say a few words about this retreat before introducing the speakers. This retreat is a part of the Vedanta Society of Northern California, which is a branch of the Ramakrishna Mission of India. The society was founded by Swami Vivekananda in 1900. Swami Vivekananda being the a prime exponent of the philosophy of Vedanta that came to the West in for the Parliament of Religions in Chicago in 1893. And he founded this society when he came to San Francisco on his second trip to. So we've been here a long time, and we've attempted to remain totally dedicated to that great idea, which is embodied in the motto of the order, Atmano Mokshartam Jagat Hitaya Cha, Atmana, for the Atman Moksha, for the liberation of one's own self, Jagat Hita, for the welfare of all of humanity. So this is the ideal which we try to put into practice, and which is symbolized by our retreat here, where we welcome all spiritual seekers for periods of meditation and spiritual practice, each in their own way, to deepen their relationship with that infinite reality which we are trying to perceive and to realize. So this is our dedication, and as part of this, we have this festival every year on this Memorial Day weekend. So we welcome you all very much to that. And then I shall make now the introductions of the main participants of today's program. And I would like to introduce, first of all, Dr. Barbara O'Brien, who is a lecturer at the University of California, a member of our society, and also a devoted follower of Christian Science. She has been drawn to the things of the Spirit since her very childhood. She has found enduring joy, guidance, and solace in the perception of divinity in nature, in religion, in the arts, and in daily life. She grew up in a loving family of devout and open-minded Christian scientists, and later pursued her interests at the University of California in Berkeley, eventually earning a PhD in comparative literature. In the early 1990s, her search for further spiritual understanding attended a class at the Vedanta Society of Northern California in San Francisco. Thus began her association with the Swami Prabodhananda, who at that time was the minister in charge of the society. And she felt deepened in her study of literature and a study of religion. And she also has had associations with some of the members of our convent and devotees. So she feels that her study of literature as well as of religion has been strengthened by her associations here with the Vedanta Society. In the past few years, she has addressed a class on meditation at the university and also has given talks at Interfaith Symposia, most recently at one entitled Simone Weil and the Unification of Religious Thought. Our other guest speaker is Swami Vita Mohananda, who has just such an inspiring set of songs to guide our meditation. He is a monk of the Ramakrishna Order of India. He was ordained a monk in 1971, and after a period of spiritual practice in the Himalayan region, he was asked to lead the Institute of Moral and Spiritual Education of the Ramakrishna Mission in Mysore, in in the capital of one of the states of southern India. Since 1994, he has been the head of the Ramakrishna Vedanta Center in Gretz in France, just outside of Paris. He frequently lectures on yoga and guides students of meditation in many places around the world. The Swami recently founded the Université de l'Homme, the university. He holds regular weekend conferences, seminars, and interreligious dialogues in many parts of Europe. In 2017, UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, inaugurated the Vedic Federation of France, which was founded by the Swami, and later it also joined in support of the Vedanta Center's ongoing research in the field of yoga. Then the third speaker is Swami Tattvamayananda, who is the Swami in charge of the Vedanta Society of Northern California, Olema. He is a monk of the Ramakrishna Order of India and has been the minister in charge of this society since July 2014. Previously, he was a teacher at the Order's Monastic Probationers Training Center in Calcutta. He is a well-known scholar in India, a well-known scholar in Vedic studies and Indian philosophy. He has taught Hindu and Buddhist scriptures, as well as having served as editor and writer in various capacities in the order. In January 2012, he came to San Francisco as an assistant minister and succeeded in charge of the Vedanta Society in 2014. His university education emphasized, though he was trained since very early childhood, thoroughly and completely in a traditional way in Sanskritic studies and Vedic literature. His actual university education is specialized in the study of the history, the modern history of Europe, the philosophies of the present age, and literature, European literature. So he is well versed in many facets of learning, both traditional and modern. Then later on in the afternoon, our program will begin with musical renditions by a well-known musical duo from France, but I shall introduce them at the time just before their performance. So we will now start with the program, and I thank you.
What I'm going to recite is a very ancient Sanskrit verse which focuses on interfaith, interspirituality, and interreligious dialogue. Yam Shaiva Samupasade Shivaidi Brahmedi Vedantino Bauddha Buddhaidi Pramana Patava Kartedi Nayayikaha Arhan Nityada Jaina Shasanarataha Karmeti Mimamsakaha Soyam no Vidadhadu Vanchita Phalam Trailokyanatho Hari. May the Lord of the universe, the remover of evil, whom the devotees of Shiva worship as Shiva, Vedantins as Brahman, Buddhists as Buddha, and followers of different religions as their chosen deity and their chosen spiritual ideal. Let that Almighty, omnipresent, immanent spiritual reality, grant us all our hearty spiritual desires and fulfillment. It's a very ancient verse that belongs to the 2nd century AD. You know what it says? In fact, this is the right beginning for any kind of interfaith dialogue. God is one. You can pray in your way. I can pray in my way. If your way of praying or approaching God is different from mine, it doesn't mean that you are wrong, that I'm right. It only means you approach God from a different perspective, from a different angle. If you are sincere and honest, you reach the same spiritual destination which I reach when I approach God with the same degree of sincere, honest, and dedicated aspiration. That's the essence of this verse. So, before going further, I shall just say a few words. Then I would invite Swami Vedanta to give his presentation. You know, whenever you talk about the religion or faith systems, it's a big paradox. On the one hand, religion is supposed to be a unifying, harmonizing spiritual ideal. There are many sublime aspects about religion. It has enriched art, literature, civilizations, culture, everything. But at the same time, there are many undesirable things associated with religion. Some of the bloodiest battles and wars in the world history are being fought for God and on behalf of religions. So it's a big paradox, conflict. So that's what we are going to discuss today. The reason why religion is often a divisive force, taking people away from each other, creating division and conflict. The reason is we focus on the non-essential, the secondary aspects of scriptures, for the harmonizing spiritual teachings. What we do, we focus on the secondary details and fight in the name of God. So we bring God to our level. If we are evil, if we are jealous, if we are prone to fighting with others, then we conceive of God as a mighty warrior who is ready to fight on our side against our enemies. So, Vedanta presents a different concept of God. Vedanta tells you that when you reach your highest spiritual evolution, you realize and you experience the presence of God in our own hearts and the presence of the same God as the omnipresent. So that makes you love your neighbor, not because you are afraid of God, but because by loving your neighbor, you are loving yourself. By hurting your neighbor or hurting another person, we are spiritually hurting ourselves. So this concept of spiritual unity and oneness of existence, looking upon the whole humanity, the whole creation as one spiritual family, is the essence of Vedantic concept of interfaiths. So, to begin with, I request Swami Vedanta Maharaj to come and give his presentation. He will speak elaborately on interfaith movements, the recent trends in interfaith conversations in Europe. He has been closely associated with this sublime concept of interfaith unity all over Europe. So I request Swamiji to come and give his presentation. Thank you. Namaskar.
My dear monastic brothers, religious personalities, spiritual aspirants, I have very important news to share with you. First, I will begin with the hot news. You will be surprised what it is. on the 24th of this month, just before my departure to this country, I was invited by a group of interfaith organization to be present with them whole day. I knew them since long time. I used to be one of their members. I could not refuse. In the meantime, another invitation came from the UNESCO saying that you must be present at least for the part of the program. So I had to divide myself with the two invitations. In the morning, I went to the Christian convent organized by the Benedictines. So we had a subject to reflect upon. It was compassion. Amongst us, there were Buddhists, there were Sufis, there were Catholics, Protestants. Perfectly all right. We were in perfect harmony, in perfect understanding. So we tried to reflect upon the subject, what is called the compassion. Compassion is common to all religious traditions. Buddhists, though they give more importance to compassion of Buddha, the Indian traditions also give more importance to Daya. Christianity also is the same thing. In Islam also it is the same thing. So this discussion went on. Of course, I was the last person to speak or express myself. Perfectly all right for me. So how to express the compassion? The compassion generally as known to our people to express the compassion externally. Forgetting we need to express compassion to ourselves. Express that expression or understanding, comprehension, however much we may express ourselves externally, it won't work out. That is why we find lot of divisions, lot of conflicts, lot of problems everywhere. Well then, you may question how this compassion can be expressed inwardly. First of all, are we aware of ourselves? How much of agitation goes on within ourselves? Do we know as how we are to master ourselves? As how to transform this agitation, inner agitation? And conserve the energy and utilize the energy for the progressive life. So, what is called religion, it is the science of life. So, we came to this acceptance, yes, religion, what is called religion, it is the science of life. If it is the science of life, we may use any analytical method, perfectly all right. So, the method that is employed is perfectly right for individual. It depends upon the individual capacity, temperament, need. We have to respect. We accept it. So there is no conflict. Well then, the next point comes as how can we master ourselves? There are different methods suggested by the scriptures, by the religious traditions. Now these different methods, are they contradictory? Not at all. I may call my method as meditation or repetition of holy names. Take and try to reflect on it in life. So, by doing it, we don't come to any kind of conflict. We are able to understand each other. So, this is how the morning session came to an end session also. When I came to UNESCO, there was a moderator. Of course, he, according to his understanding, first question was fights, conflicts. The example of Burma, Rohingya, that research, education. So he particular problem. Then there was a pastor, Protestant. He also said, no, perhaps we should not get into, because these type of problems, religious people, maybe there may be fanatics. It is not our problem. For us, the values are important. If values are important, then we need to know as how. So then my turn came. He asked me, Swami, what do you? Why is it? Because in-service teachers are able to reach hundreds and thousands of young minds to be better citizens. Not citizens of the nation only, world citizens. So I explained as how we practice it. I myself have done it. We used to take the students to the church as how they pray. What is the significance of prayer? We used to take the students to mosque also. Though there are certain restrictions, we obey the restrictions. We try to understand how they pray, why they pray, and all that. Well, as far as Hindu tradition concerned, we are always there. We present the possible methods to the students. So this is how propagate the among the teachers taught. Effect. Education of the potentialities of how this perfection can be brought about. In the education of information, this information is, if it is not, I came to France in my worship. Why do they do it? What is the meaning of it? How it is in everyday life. So in the morning session, afternoon public meeting, Christian monk was there. Of course, Sufis were there. Protestants were there. So I was introduced to the public. Swami so and so, belonging to the Ramakrishna mission. Immediately, somebody asked from the public, what is this Ramakrishna? When my turn came, is also a deeper meaning. Purification. The concept of sin removed from the individual personality. Iti Krishna means which attracts. Or my education quality is social. Apparently it may be that, but then we get connected to the self. It is Krishna, it is that. I have to explain to them what of the mission purificatory effect everywhere. Education, it may be through service or through other activities. So this is what is called Ramakrishna. Even if you say Hare Krishna perfectly, Hare Karshati, which attracts, takes away what? All the impurity. Carries away. The same way, all the impurities are carried away. What remains is the purity. It becomes connected. Should we make this difference? All the differences, so is it real? It goes on changing. Peace. He was trying to, his monastic brother, dialogue. Will you please monasteries, either convents or monasteries, to different person and spend some time with them. He used to make me to sit near him. Here comes the importance of the heart. Is how to other countries. For example, in Belgium, there is a big monastery. They got interested. So, changing views. There are Sufis. They also got. They started coming to our place. So we have very good understanding to that place. For example, in Istanbul, there's a Sufi group. They invited me. I all special arrangements for food, lodging, everything. Can you imagine Sufis accepting a different tradition? We didn't have any problem. You see, where there is heart, where is that? This is an important factor of religious practices. Well, then, it is not stopped there. We meeting every year. Priests, Protestant, nuns, monks and nuns, they come. We have 2 days program. Every state, so there is no conflict. For example, the Christian monk, at the very beginning, friendly with me, so he says, is very peaceful, perfectly all right. Chapel, where is the problem? So you see how together gives us the right understanding. So our hearts are united. There is no difficulties. And then I give another example. These Christian monks and nuns, they told me, can you do something for it? That I asked, yes, certainly. Accompanied them 2 times. I don't remember the year. We went northern part of India, right Rishikesh, right Saranath, then came to Belur Math, our headquarters. There, they stayed in our ashramas. One of us, they were very happy. So where comes here any problem? This our understanding continues even up to today. Second time also part of India, perfectly all right. We went to Chennai, went to Madurai. Perhaps you might be knowing, near Madurai, there is a ashrama, Abhishektananda. He was a French Benedictine monk, went to India. He got attracted by the teachings of the Upanishads, and he wanted to embrace monasticism according to Indian tradition. Initiated him into monastic order. That is how he. That is why many of the monks, Benedictine or Catholic monks and nuns, are attracted to this way of being. They wanted to visit that ashrama. It is called Shanti Ashrama. It has branches also. They wanted to visit all the branches. We traveled together. Wherever it is possible, they all stayed with us in our ashramas. No problem. not only the Catholics, also Orthodox Christians joined us. But no problem, no conflict. Where there is heart, there is no place for any kind of problems, difficulties, or whatever it is. Well then, do I have enough time? I'll stop. Okay. Well, I'll close. Long list. So, see, even now, we meet together, we discuss together. On the 24th May, when I went to the convent, one of the sisters, he is 90 now, she told me, Swami, I'm free-filled. I cannot express myself. Perhaps it's time for me to go away from this world, but you are in my heart. See, in the religious life, what's called this heart is an important factor which is emphasized both by Buddha, Jesus, and all other great personalities. So with it, there is no conflict, no problem. We all any kind of difference, distinction of color or race or whatever it is. Thank you all. Thank you.
So I thank Vida Mohananda ji for this wonderful presentation of this extremely relevant and important and in Europe. So during the evening we'll have program in the afternoon, so you invite Barbara O'Brien. She is a lifelong senior academic under society. Religion not in its aspect, in its sublime spiritual, enriched literature, everything. So I request
us. May we work together amongst us. Peace, peace, peace. Revered Swamis, Achakas, cherished and respected members of society, and honored lower, I can. Is to be here with you today. Started with is one Ananda, the founder of this yearly festival, chant beautifully and then translate at his Friday at the old temple of the Vedanta Society in San Francisco. And it has felt to me that we have been nourished all this weekend, and our study has been so vigorous and really the love and harmony have been palpable this whole month, especially for those of us who've been able to attend the Karma Yoga days in preparation for today. I'm going to give first a brief sketch of my understanding of the term interfaith, touching on my own tradition, Christian Science, and some of its shared beliefs with Vedanta. Explain by focusing on the lives and work of 4 women, Mary Baker Eddy, Emily Dickinson, Sharda Devi, and Simone Weil, some of what I mean by sympathy, a power to mitigate what the writer Joseph Conrad called the horror, increasingly confronting us today. So first, an early source of my tradition was gleaned from Aldous Huxley's classic, The Perennial Philosophy, by the way, are available in the bookstore. This book was first published in 1945. It grew out of Huxley's close association with Swami Prabhavananda, the great teacher at the Hollywood Vedanta Society. When it appeared, it made little sense to the literary critics, who missed the satirical edge in many of Huxley's earlier novels. But the book articulates the enormous discovery for the author that all religions have a common basis in direct mystical experience. The experience of oneness between the Supreme Spirit and everyday empirical reality. A great that the thou is at the same time or infinite Brahman, the eternal cause, the consciousness and bliss, or Satchidananda. The perennial philosophy affirms that the transcendent is also immanent, abiding, penetrates our conditioned lives. Huxley writes, the spiritual absolute of discursive thought make after page, he documents records of this unitive knowledge in passages from literary and other texts. Declares heart. Both Rama writes, to see a wildflower, to hold infinity in the distinction between This mind of yours is Buddha is no other than sentient being. And in a Hindu classic, we find, like the bee gathering honey, the wise person accepts the essence of different scriptures and sees some years ago, intuition that I soon found so perfectly stated in the Vedas. Truth is one. I think from different cultures represented in Huxley's book. First, from childhood, she was spiritual sympathy for those around her, including the farm animals, which caused Albert, her first husband after only 6 months of marriage, and then her birth of Mary's son. Period was part of a grueling 20-year sadhana, a discipline of deprivation and belief in the many remedies she sought in allopathy, diet, water cure, homeopathy, and mesmerism. Only on God for her needs. In 1866, the crucial event which changed the whole course of her life. On an icy sidewalk in Lynn, Massachusetts, conscious into a nearby house. Neither her doctor nor her minister expected her. When she regained consciousness, to be left alone with her Bible. She his teachings and his healings. A transcendent light filled the whole room. She got up and dressed, writing short experience of the great fact that I have since tried to make spirit. This life being the sole reality. For the Bible, to try to discover what had healed and transformed others. Teaching passed over and theologians that ran and that was most evident as he that hath seen Father, and if thine eye be whole body shall be full of light. Her writing eventually became her major book, Science and Health. A 100-page book is it spells out Advaita, or non-dual philosophy and yoga, with a profound. The last 100 pages are letters from individuals whose lives were healed and transformed by It was to a large extent dictated to her over almost a year, when she lived in a small attic room in Swampscott, Massachusetts. Science, for her, refers to the eternal, unreality, or Purusha. Health, or wholeness, like Christian, describes the manifestation of that or Prakriti, thus linking and taking us back to the essence of all religion, as laid out in Huxley's book. So here are a few of the major points in Science and Health. 1 is all in all, the great I am, the one and only ego or self. And God means noumenon and Science and Health states, for example, divine love. Therefore, all that really exists is in and of God and manifests His love. Here maintains that man manifestations now of their perfect original. Think of Jesus' statement, I and my Father are one, and be ye therefore perfect, even as your, which can be rendered your Father in heaven is perfect. 3. This is hidden by what Science and Health calls false impositions, misinterpretations, ignorance, false beliefs. To misperceive or what is. 4. Through adherence to the truth, each one's identity in and of that one spirit or divine being, it is possible to wake up from the dream or illusion and even Jesus said, ye shall know shall make you free. 5, and the practice of best we can the 2 great commandments, to love God with all our heart, love our neighbor as ourself, that is the endeavor to see all as it according to our conditioned judgments. We are not far from the kingdom of heaven, as Jesus told. I have said, you can imagine my joy and surprise when I read Swami Vivekananda's The Open Secret, the Real and Apparent Man, his discourses on Jnana Yoga, and especially the ones called Practical Vedanta. I read Swami Ashokananda's lecture, spiritualizing everyday life, in which he even mentions Christian Science as a most and he goes on to describe an interesting experiment he made, which sounds very like the practice of Christian Science. He says, I made in accord with the truth, and I found that it brought results. I won't go so far as to say that I began to see God everywhere. I will say that if we take a determined stand, the material universe has a way of becoming obliterated. It requires a change of vision, a change of attitude. Again and again, of looking at things. We are not a man really, but God himself. Then we have to bring our mind back to the right attitude. It is, of course, this effort to see from a divine or non can bring with it an ever can affect both ourselves and others. Speaking of Ramakrishna, whose moved with compassion for the suffering multitudes who thronged him, or of Swami Vivekananda, who wept. An early edition of Science and Health refers describes this sympathy. The phenomenon, and it not, since noumenon. And this sympathy in literary texts. The Buddhist saint Shantideva. May the gods protect the sleepers, the heedless, pestilent forest and the like, the helpless. Let the sick be well. Let all be freed from bondage. May arms is here. At peace. Is by the first stanza asks, can I see another's sorrow and not be in sorrow too? And not seek for kind relief. And there's a refrain, no, be. Shelley's Prometheus, the god who brought fire to humans to suffer pain. Countless poems and English poet William Wordsworth, thinker and writer. The French author of Les Miserables, others. Marin cries out to prosper with those who storm says to himself, and Amy. William Faulkner's Isaac McCaslin. The transcendent in the necessarily shows as a that it spiritualizes the everyday, so that others are even transformed by it. Names and book titles, one writer, Emily Dickinson, and 3 of her poems to illustrate some of our theme. First, a short biography. She was born in Amherst, Massachusetts. She had a good education, and while her family was not wealthy, there was enough that after the parents' deaths, Emily and her sister Lavinia, neither of whom married, in the family home next door to their married brother Austin. After a normally social youth, Dickinson became increasingly solitary. The stereotype of her as a reclusive persists. It seems more accurate to see her as a type of yogi and mystic. Like a New Englander, she needed her solitude to observe, ponder, and write about the realm of the spirit she intuited was within herself and all things, the beyond which is within. Text for her, the theistic up there, and she could accept anymore. Who are you? Don't tell. They'd advertise, you know. How dreary to be somebody. How public, like a frog, to tell one's to an admirer. A student came up to me after and talked, beseechingly asked, say that. It's to be somebody. The student could feel Dickinson's freedom from that yearning for name and fame, from the and stress to be somebody we all. Of course, such freedom comes from standing, at least at times, on that divine ground Huxley writes about. And it's hard won. And no doubt for most of us until not final for Dickinson. But in this vanity and the inanity of the universal push to be that confines us in the persons we work so hard and that keeps us from the exhilaration of just being. I came across an account by Swami Premananda, a direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, which is a nice. Sri Ramakrishna did not make us great. Nobodies. Wipe out all vanity and all sense of ego. When the ego dies, all trouble. So here's another one, and I'm going to gloss it. You all know that a blunder is a mistake. An estimate is a. When you hear the word station, think of a train station or a BART stop. Ramble is a one to take a ramble in the woods. And abode is, of course, where you live. The blunder is in eternity is there. We meanwhile, he is so. He joins me in my ramble, divides abode with me. No friend have I as this eternity. Emily Dickinson. In a letter, Dickinson wrote, "I find ecstasy in living. The mere sense of living is joy enough. Live is power, omnipotence enough." People often associate Emily Dickinson with sentiment, flowers and birds, and also with morbidity, death, and the grave. In many poems, as they are major, and death was there too, carrying off these and other friends. Despair, madness, terror, which face what she called the cellars of the soul, you know, the basement where you keep your junk, and address the we all lug about. She notes the fashions of the cross, of we who weep and wince. Carry or wear your cross. But again and again, her humility and vision lift our sights and comfort, and even help us run or fight in a fruitless manner. The last poem is one that a number of my students find on their own as they leaf through the book, and it embodies for all things. If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can ease one life or cool one pain, or help one fainting robin back to his nest again, I shall not live in vain. One could say that all her poems are written from such a desire or motive. In another poem, she describes a bird that inspired her and affirmed her vocation because it sang for nothing scrutable but intimate delight. The life of another really is our life, for no division really. Dickinson found sustenance in the simple and in short, more what it means blessed. She lived invisible and the visible, and were on a little scrap of paper to her cousin, little cousins called back, that the high and suffer within their own hearts, make and each saw Gita, and in this last part into this power of sympathy that everyday life, by focusing on Sharada Devi, Ramakrishna's wife, and have much education and was certainly not worldly wise, of the Dhammapada, the army can, how is power, not wealthy family, and married at an early age, life in the order, rather being naturally, he regarded him as God, and he and the Divine Mother, and carefully prepared her to carry on his mission decades after his passing. To me, these the lines of the Sutta. Just as a mother with her own life protects her only child from harm within yourself, let grow a boundless love for. Let your love flow outward through the unit, its depth, a limitless love, without hatred or enmity, and or walk. Strive for this, your life. Imagine Devi walked. How many hours she stood listening to Ramakrishna devotees. To rest, she was expressing that love that brings heaven to earth. She was offering consolation and relief to recordless numbers who could not find comfort anywhere else. It helps me to know that she prayed to not see the faults of others, and that prayer was answered. Learn to make the whole world your own, she advised, because, in fact, it is. Utterly different in so many ways from Sharda Devi, Simone Weil, with her and with the other women, Mary Baker Eddy and Emily Dickinson, mentioned so far. Simone Weil was born in Paris in a warm and pleasant, secular Jewish household. And after graduating from the École Normale, various teaching posts, until her increasing ill health, her unconventional views about nearly everything, and at last her Jewish continuing in that profession. As a student, she was politically and socially active in efforts to help workers and others less privileged than herself. And these efforts continued until her untimely death, largely from starvation, that refused to eat when so many were starving. She lived yogi or mystic, with a driving all she did. She church, but as her letter to, she found herself in too great conflict with many church doctrines to join. Ultimately, she felt a new religion was needed, forged out of the and Prometheus in 1938, which convinced her of the redemptive power of divine love, a presence than that of a human being. And without is a remove that so she perennial philosophy in the Upanishad, in the texts, the surviving sacred writings of ancient Egypt, and those of the greatest Christian mystics, above all, St. John of the Cross. And also in certain heresies, especially in the Cathars and the Manichaean tradition, all of which explore the sacred as inseparable from the transitory. What broad... I was first drawn to Weil because of her reading of Greek literature, especially her book, Intimations of Ancient Greeks. For Weil, Christ is the perfect exemplification of the Buddhist void. So empty of self, the attendo disappears. Whole effect of the no part left in the soul to say, I. Through great effort, she lost what she calls social prestige and became more in this life. Spent Eddy and Sharda Devi and many others in praying and uprooted and lowly, yearning for some comfort. One other major writings of Eknath Easwaran, especially passages, major religious traditions, with a student that for me brings together the ideas we've been talking about. My morning invocations from the Upanishads, most of which I learned from listening to Swami Prabhupada. Passages from the Bible, which I've learned from my own tradition. Buddhist saints, mostly from Eknath prayer. One morning, it was almost as if a voice said to me, call. I am not in the habit of calling my students, and persistent that I did call him. The class had 34 students and assumed he had dropped the class. My call was that Sam showed up in class and afterwards told us and was struggling about the student health services available and asked what I... We agreed that he would catch up on the reading and so he could try to finish the work and pass. The next day, when he showed up to office hours, students from the class who were very enthusiastic studying, and I should say I've shared with you today reading Ed, which is about ourselves, and Joyce's story communicated to this young man who was shortly sitting up and making eye contact. He got the paper point. Krishna came to reestablish his mother. I've puzzled about this, as I'm sure many of you here, of the mother protecting her child from harm, and think about it. We are each with child, so to speak, to birth. That whole love covered at least 4,000 of the property of just a few. There's an image of a dragon in the book of Revelation in the hour her child, Emily Dickinson, Sharda Devi, and Simone Weil rough, and how it makes ours rough too. Protecting that child within us grow. We can develop what Swami Vivekananda calls in a letter, unto death, and our lives too can. Thank you, Swami, and thank you all for listening.
A kind request. There are 2 cars parked in this area. If you could please move that, it would be great. It's causing a chain reaction and it'll be causing a traffic jam later. So the car license plates are, one is white Ford Expedition U997, and the second car is Ford Escape 7UXK066. If you could kindly move that, the cars, it'll be great. Thank you.
Thank you. The wonderful, exhaustive presentation of a very interesting subject. Now, I must say something about spirituality proper. That's what I'm trying to do. Now, what is spirituality? How is it different from religion? In the beginning, if you read San Francisco Chronicle every day, to be a great fan of God or religion. That's a reality. So when we read the Sermon on the Mount, maybe Dharmapada literature, we feel, oh, how wonderful. You see a different interpretation, different approach, different understanding of God and religion. Uncomforting about the clouds with a very big stick in his hands, who's looking for those who are very loyal to him, obedient. Unfortunately, has got a bad name these days. Religion are not people who pretend to profess religion without responsible for that. Swami Vivekananda, he is the first great teacher who did that in Western world, drew a clear line of demarcation. You can be religious and you can be a bloodthirsty, cruel monster. Cruel or monstrous, or in your interaction. Religion, as we understand it, as it is in the last several centuries. Religion reduced to the status of a prisoner, confined within the 4 walls of book, a place of worship, and belief, fanatical belief, exclusiveness, and finality, particular religion. That's the main problem. But true religion, as it could be sublime, it could make you look upon the whole humanity trying. You could sinners and experience the same divine presence, a conflict in the name of religion. There are 4 stages that we go through in religious life. At the most primitive stage, my God lives in a temple, a place of worship. He will be very happy if I read that particular scripture, which I may consider to be the embodiment, and certain mechanical rituals which I perform every day or every week in a very mechanical. We live in some sort of an intermediary between God and humanity. So priestcraft, place of worship, scripture, and of course, a kind of mechanical. This is not wrong from Vedantic perspective, but this is you don't begin and end your education at the kindergarten. Your goal is to go to Harvard. Then only you would be considered to be an educated person. Grow, as you evolve, as you become more broad-minded, your understanding, your definition goes. And after some time, if I can't go to a place or a worship or a temple or a church or read a scripture or perform I can feel the presence of by doing good things, by thinking good thoughts, by trying to be a good human. And at a still higher level, you can feel visible presence of God, His hands in your life as a whole. At the highest level, you feel, well, you don't need to go to a temple or a church or a place of worship. Presence of God in every human being, in everything in this creation. You don't do harm to another person because the other person is not different from you. Physically may be different, but not spiritually. So, when you find within you and also outside, without, that is called spirituality. One is a better human being. So that's why Vedanta is often defined as kind of universal spiritual humanism. The problem is, as I pay too much attention to secondary details. So if I read wonderful messages, teachings in the parables, in the Sermon on the Mount, if I read Eckhart, I would find many in the Upanishads, which of course were written thousands of years earlier. And again, when I pray with a sincere heart, as Swamiji was mentioning, with a heart, then if I compare the way I pray with the way with a devout Catholic or a Jewish or Buddhist pray, I won't find it much difference. So at the experience level, when we evolve, when we grow beyond the external rituals, beyond theology, beyond mythology, beyond even philosophy, when we actually feel the presence of God within us and the presence of the God everywhere, it is called spirituality. So if you read, as I mentioned just now, if you read the works of Eckhart and the Upanishads and the Gita, there are many. So the point is, we must try to evolve ourselves and go beyond this concept of interfaith conversation. At the most primitive stage, exclusively, my religion is right, my God is okay, your religion is wrong, you're worse than an atheist. In fact, humanists appreciate good things everywhere. It is ordinarily understood by the values. So it's almost like a political not about surrendering our spiritual freedom to an almighty creator God, some kind of a mesmerizing person with a heavy stick in his hand, with a long list of things that you are not expected to do. Such practices am not all people. So, and reach the dialogue mind. The foundation of dialogical approach is spiritual. Is another approach which is not so very important, called syncretism, where I know in the 70s or 80s, even in Berkeley, I heard there are many liberal-minded Americans because nobody goes to churches. So let's all become Buddhists or Vedantins, which is totally wrong from Vedantic perspective. A Vedantin won't accept you if you say Christianity is wrong. I'm going to become a Vedantin. A true Vedantin and a true Hindu will not accept. the highest fruit of Hindu. All these great Vedantic teachings that Vivekananda were articulated century by Shankaracharya, who got them is 7,000. So, once we on the mechanical level, beyond the level of theology and philosophy, and this verse, but one important verse is that which is the foundation of interfaith. Mandukya Karya it comes. So Siddhanta Vyavasthasu Dukaram Viruddha believe exclusivism is a kind of fanaticism. They fight among themselves, saying, my God is the real God, not your God. If your path is different from mine, it means this is totally wrong. According to Vedanta, according to the true spirits of Hindu religion. That's going to hurt anyone. You cannot criticize anyone unless you cannot do any harm to anybody unless you actually want to harm yourself. So that is the approach of Vedanta. We find, why do we look upon other religions as alien, different? At the lower level, there are so many tracks and trails and roads that you can take. If you want to take one road, it's okay, another person. There's still innumerable trails leading to the same top of the hill. The top of the hill is spirituality, experience. But when you are following one trail, I am the only traveler. You don't know that there are others used by other hikers to reach the same top of the hill. You realize that there are so many trails which lead to the same top of the hill. So many religions are so eventually lead to the top of the hill. You realize this fact only when you reach the top. Because before you reach the top, you have no idea. And other passengers are trying to reach the same spot, the experience. So, spirituality is of experience. Now, this is mostly listening to Professor Barbara's exposition. Just think of a man like portraying the saintly picture of or Alexei, the Grand Inquisitor, could write such a wonderful master, creative writing in the history of modern literature, who may not have meditated. At least you don't call Dostoevsky as a saint by any extension. Even Russia had a glimpse of what a saint could experience within. Great literary giants. A glimpse of truth. That's what makes their writings class are read and will be read for generations. So coming back to spirituality, when you evolves and it becomes, and when you approach God, not do any harm to anyone, I'll be doing harm to myself. Now, if we go to San Francisco old description, Vedanta, this is Indram Mitram Varunam Agnirahu Adho Ekam Sadvipra Bhagudha Vadandi Agnim Yamam Atarishwanamahu. Don't worry about the Sanskrit verse I'm going to explain. You know, in ancient times in India, in Vedic age, people used to worship so many deities, Agni, fire god, sun, religions. But there was a spiritual foundation behind. What this sage tells us is this: all these are different names which people belonging to different cultures, different social categories try to explain and describe and call. But the reality is one. The reality is one, but that reality from different angles by great men and women born in any culture, any tradition. Even in traditions, we did not really have a concept of God. By leading pure life, they will discover the presence of some transcendental, spiritual, divine spark within themselves. So, remember, God, religion is a creation of human beings, not of God. The teachings of Jesus existed before Jesus. You cannot say the teachings of Jesus produced truth. A supreme truth cannot be manufactured. A great truth can be given a new presentation. So all great spiritual teachers of the world are to be accepted and respected and revered with the same, because the great mystics, the founders of great religious traditions, have reached the top of this hill. That is spirituality. This is the foundation of dialogical approach. In dialogical approach, I interact with you, though your religion is different. I discuss with you about God and religion and practices. Not still let us have a dialogue, a deal. So no, not in that sense. Your religion is your approach. Wonderful. If you are true, if you are sincere, then God doesn't insist that by this name is the correct phonetic pronunciation. No. See, the place of residence of God in our hearts, just mentioned earlier. That's why this dialogical approach, which is the foundation of universal interfaith conversations, is built upon the foundation of spirituality. And that again is based on the all is the same, but paths may be different. Once we take this approach, harmonizing principle, on the one hand, we are able to feel the presence, experience, not just believe in. Anyone can believe in, Belief only is, in the ordinary sense, it is very superficial. Everyone say, I believe in God. But I would say, if you sincere, I have to believe in God. You don't have to say, I believe in something that you really believe in. You don't say, no, I act. You don't make a statement about, and he says, in a very interesting context, what is obvious to you, you don't make a statement about it. And you cannot deny it. So when I believe in God, he only means, or she only means, belief becomes an experience, then you don't have to believe in what you actually experience. When you say you believe in, it means you have not experienced it. So all the great teachings of great mystics of the world are based on this principle. So true religion is all about discovering or trying to in search of the supreme spiritual truth within us, not outside. We have to begin with a search from outside. Every religious tradition, as at the grossest level, you read a scripture. Sometimes you have to do some practices mechanically. Nothing wrong nothing wrong if you begin your spiritual education in a spiritual kindergarten. There's a spiritual kindergarten. A child has to scroll alphabet on a big slate because he has to memorize. So we can do that. That we should not interpret as the final word. Because we anthropological, Christianity and Hinduism predominantly have an Indian background geographically. Christianity and Judaism, Middle Eastern, by vocabulary, the language, the illustrations, with cultural foundation. Because every prophet, he has to use the language that he's born into. He has to use the language, the imageries, the illustrations prevalent in the culture is for. It is inevitable. Now again, if you come to Buddhism and Hinduism, for example, many of the stories, if you read, let's say, Buddha's previous incarnation, 54 previous life cycles, ended Jataka tales. All these stories have a predominantly South background. Let us say the symbol work is a Dhammapada. If you read the graphical writings of St. Teresa of Avila or St. John of the Cross or the great Russian mystical work in the Way of a Pilgrim, you find there are many striking similarities when you go beyond the socio-anthropological level. When you look through them and beyond them, when you reach there, you are struck by the surprising truth that all religions contain some universal spiritual truths which can be practiced by anybody. and which are of universal relevance. The socio-anthropologists and food habits, for example. Some lecture in this country, a devotee who was spiritual without becoming a vegetarian. Now, and she very recently, and for my part, for the last hundreds of generations, we have been vegetarians. Can't go anywhere near fish and meat. But I told ultimate criterion. Food is a very unimportant, very insignificant factor. Hitler was a vegetarian. And the lady happened to be a Jewish lady. So you don't have to go further. Nobody will understand the comparison better than a Jewish lady, which she happened to be. So where do you stand? Food habits, for example, that you find mentioned in the biblical literature or in the European mystical literature. Christian monks making wine in Christian monasteries, Franciscan, Dominican monasteries in Europe. So, but these are second nature. What comes out of your mouth is what makes you spiritual. You need the best poison, as you happen in many. These are examples of how people become fanatic to one particular kind of God, to wanting one kind of food, one kind of cloth, and that makes you spiritual. Not at all. Spiritual sense goes beyond all these secondary details related to culture, conventions, practices, food habits, dress. Spirituality is universal. It is humanistic. It makes you better human beings. So that's why in 19th century, Swami Vivekananda, when he interpreted a new dimension to the very paradigm of religious life, he called it universal religion is not another religion. Universal religion is the way of focusing on great religious traditions, conflicts and diversities, problems of secondary details, and interpreting universal details. That's an important point. Two possibilities are there. One, you may interpret the universal spiritual teachings of a great religion in terms of secondary details. So I eat one particular kind of food. Wants to be spiritual, should eat that kind of. A great spiritual related dress code or food habit. What you eat, how you dress yourself, what language you speak, what illustrations you use, incidental factors. Going beyond them, there is one in reality. And spirituality is trying to experience the presence of God, not within our hearts, and simultaneously trying to feel the presence of God in other people's hearts also. That's an important point. So in the Vedantic tradition, there are 4 important statements, of which 2 are most important. One is a statement of instruction. The other is a statement that corresponds to experience. You are taught a great lesson. You are mentioned earlier. Means you are that supreme truth in churches. He is there, no doubt. He manifests this presence of God within you by becoming a good human being. That you don't accept God of religious life that goes beyond conventional definitions of religion. The problem is we try to interpret the universal in the language of the relative. What we should do is we must focus on the universal teachings, the humanistic teachings, the spiritual teachings of all scriptures. But there are religions which will tell you cannot change a comma or a mentioning any particular problem. Perhaps that God you spoke one kind to speak exclusively for him and condemning the rest of the humanity. It's simple. It must be beyond the secondary habits, customs, and so on aspects. Then the ideal can be easily understood. Unity in terms of the universal teaching, central spiritual theme, diversity in terms of secondary details. Secondary details need not be neglected. They have their own way. So truth should be understood. If your religion is different from my religion, that your religion is wrong, my religion is right. You say both of us are approaching the same from two different angles. The prophet or the teacher happened to be born in a different place, spoke a different language, ate a different kind of food and had a different kind of dress, or the prophet who's taught you in a different place. So these differences are there, but when you find it's the same. So what we call spirituality is the experience of the divine and the experience of the same divine everywhere, and that makes you a better human being. That experience invokes compassion, tolerance, acceptance, generosity and broad-mindedness in our inner. So true religion is nothing but trying to become a good human being. A good human being in the most profound universal sense. A good human being is one who looks upon the whole humanity as one spiritual family. I shall conclude this very brief exposition with one from an ancient spiritual classic. It's a very famous classic. A king, judges and philosophers used to visit kings and emperors in their courts. So when they reached there, the king put them a number of questions. There were many questions. Who is a true devotee of God? Who is a truly wise person? What is the meaning of truly spiritual? And so on. One important question was, who is the dearest, highest devotee of God? In response to this question, the sage gives three answers. First, he says, who sees the presence of God everywhere and the presence of the whole existence creation in God. He is the highest devotee. So, Sarva Bhudinaha Bhudani Bhagavadi Atmani Esha Bhagavatottamaha. So, this is one thing. The one who sees the presence of the whole humanity in God and presence everything. You call it spiritualizing the secular, not secularizing the spiritual as it frequently happens. So when you give too much importance to secondary details, you are secularizing the spiritual. When you focus on the spiritual, overlooking differences and diversities at the lower secondary levels, then you are spiritualizing the secular. So the one who sense of God and the one who looks at the highest devotee. He temple every day, or the one who prays to me every day, the one who temple or a church every day. No, what he says is this. The one who feels the presence of God in everyone and the presence of everybody in God is my best. Then he says, who is the worst one? Intermediary one. The worst one is, he goes to a temple or a church, reads scriptures every day, very, very punctual, lot of fasting, lot of wonderful prayer, gathering in a big place like this, more of a physical exercise than a kind of internal spiritual journey. They are the worst. God in my temple. But when they come out of the temple, they feel there is no God. It is the worst blasphemy to limit a structure made of concrete and water. He said, actually God won't feel amused because he is so transcendental, and you limit him within the prison walls of a small tiny structure, a temple or a church, whatever it may be. He is the worst. Then in between there is another one. Those who are evolving, they are those who practice compassion towards fellow spiritual seekers, who have admiration for those who are more evolved than, and for those who are not able to make progress, who are trying to, in their everyday life, trying to gradually evolve, leaving behind not seeing God outside the place of worship, forgetting the presence of God outside the place of worship, or thinking that God is staying in this particular small land. That's the worst kind of blasphemy. Those who are beyond that stage, left that stage behind and trying to evolve to a higher level of universal spirit, those for whom every day an occasion for celebration because they feel, as Brother Lawrence said, the presence of God everywhere. Incidentally, this concept I often used to mention. If you read the Way of a Pilgrim, you find when the pilgrim learned the Jesus prayer from a monk, when he learned it, when he became identified with this prayer, when he actually experienced what St. Paul said in the first epistle, to be always in a state of prayerfulness. Not that you pray 2 hours in the morning or 1 hour in the evening. No, you cannot but be always in a state of prayerfulness, a state of perpetual prayerfulness. When they hardly literate, so he could read and write, experience, when he reached the experience level of Jesus' prayer, you find he says, oh, he felt so much of compassion, so much of inner fulfillment, completeness. And for him, the whole humanity is one spiritual family. So such persons cannot hate anybody on the basis of religion, because when you hate another person just because his idea of God is different, it is the worst kind of blasphemy, an insult and sacrilege to God whom we worship in our own temple or our own church. So when we reach this level, it is no more religion, it is called spirituality. So when spirituality becomes the foundation of interfaith conversation, critical approach, and except in modern times, got established with as a part of the Columbian Exposition, which again was part of the celebration of, and it all did on a single platform and articulate any aspects about it, articulate this universal spirituality, the spiritual universe. Before that, there were 2 attempts. Ashoka the Great in the second, Ashoka, all the delegates of different religions in 2nd century BC. Then Akbar, 13th century, take off. But in 1893, this Parliament of Religion was held, on which occasion, on a single platform, all the religious delegates of different traditions and spoke with one another, had the first, and I'm very happy that of indirectly continuing these study programs. Thank you. Now I have to make a seated for a few minutes. The next announcement we will have, and there will be 6 slides. This happens, slowly. It will be served there in the men retreat house, and then another important. Please assemble here, and then a very interesting session, melodies of interfaith harmony. Marin and Sharada, 2 European musical specialists, so professional musicians from France, have arrived here. They will present these melodies in interfaith harmony. How even music can be a very effective tool for promoting the idea of interfaith fraternity, interfaith harmony. It's a very, the presenter and his guitarist, who is a well-known musician from France. And then after that, with very almost 2 hours, you can ask your question. Please don't go away after lunch. Come back and be seated here, because I think this first time the musical presentation celebrating the theme of something you should know. Thank you. Namaskar. शांतिरंतरिक्षं शांति Oh, peace in the sky, may there be peace on earth, may there be peace, may there be peace in the plains, valleys, oceans, clouds, may there be peace everywhere and in everyone. We have meditation for 5 minutes. We will have musical program. So let us meditate for 5 minutes. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. Now we will have music presentations by 2 celebrated European musicians from Paris, France, and Swami Vedananda ji will introduce them to you. Thank you. Namaskar.
It is a great pleasure to introduce to you people whom their music, concert you could say, in our meditation. So I think you'll be very pleased. Their professional name, which of their singing refers to, and Sarada refers to the consort, the wife of Sri Ramakrishna, carried on his mission after Sri Ramakrishna had passed away. So this is a very auspicious names that they have assumed, and it characterizes their music as well, because it is music that is not only devotional but also interfaith in so many respects, as you will see. It's broad and all-inclusive, and shows the spiritual impulse that is at the back of real music, as well as at the back of art in every form. Now, they are a French songwriter, singer. Marin is a French songwriter, singer, and guitarist. And Sarada is the singer. They realized at a young age that music was more than just a passion. It was rather their life's art. Their band was formed in 2005 after a tribute concert to George Harrison. Their music is a mix of rock, pop, and folk music. Many of the band's themes revolve around spirituality. their music is imbued with a deep love for Eastern mysticism. Beyond their intention to spread love and joy through music, both live in an ashram near Paris that is the center from which the Swami Vita Mohananda comes. He is the head of that center. It's a village called Gretz. The thing service music, as you will see. And so it is a great pleasure for us to have, they have come to that center. And so the whole, thank you.
Hello, everybody. Here in California. We go regularly to the States, but California, that really is it for us. Start with a poem composed by the freedom fighter and poet, the Irish, Brian O'Higgins. This poem, Mary. In Mary's hands. And you are going to sing with us, because that's what we do. Sitting and sing Maria avec.
May Mary's hands outstretched far away. May Mary's hand peace make sweet each night. Come shine through to before Maria. Ave Maria, Maria, Maria. May Mary stretched in joy fling sunshine down, close in love. Come shine or shower through days that we are. Ave Maria. Maria, Maria, Maria. His hands in Mary's. Shower, come we love, fruit before, sing with us, Ave Maria, Ave Maria, Ave Maria, Ave Maria,
Thank you very much. Thank you. Our next song is dedicated to all gopis, the cowherds, who are begging Madhavi, also known as Radha, to give back their beloved, to give back their love. Krishna, O Madhavi, give me back my sweet one.
Give him back, for he is mine, and make me your slave. He is my life, His water is to the fish. You have hidden Him in your bosom. I am a simple, guileless girl, and you have stolen my. Give me back my sweetest one. Give me back, for He is mine. Give me back Him back. Oh, Madavi, give Him back to me. For my sweet one, I cannot bear to live without Him. Without my Madhava, I shall die. His water is to the fish. You have hidden Him in your bosom. I am a simple, guileless girl, and you are beloved. Give me back my sweetest one. Give me back, for He is mine. Give me back my sweetest one. Give Him back to me. How far from here is Mathura, where dwells the beloved of my soul, of my soul. Give Him back to me. 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 Give Him back. So give Him back to me. 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 Oh, Madhavi, give me back my, give me back my sweet.
Which we just have sung, is to be found back in the Gospel of Ramakrishna. Continue with a song that is to ask for rendezvous with the Almighty, whom we also can call. She's going to sing with us. Face thy great sky with a humble heart. Shall I stand before day after day? O Lord of my life, shall I stand before Thee? Hara Hara Hara, Shiva Shiva Shiva, Maha Maha Maha, Deva Deva Deva, Hara Hara Hara, Maha Maha Maha, Deva Deva Deva, Hara Hara Hara, oh oh oh. In this wondrous world of thine, violent with toil and with struggle among hurrying crowds, shall I stand before Thee face to face, with folded hands, O Lord of all world, stand before Thee face to face. Sing with us. Hara Hara Hara, Shiva Shiva Shiva, Maha Maha Maha, Deva Deva Deva, Hara Hara Shiva, Maha Maha Maha, Deva Deva Deva, Hara Hara Hara, Shiva Shiva Shiva, Maha Maha Maha, Hara
Shiva, Shiva, Deva, Deva, Deva. And when my work shall be done in this world, O King of Kings, alone and shall I stand to face. I want sing with us. Hara Hara Hara, Shiva Shiva Shiva, Maha Maha Maha, Deva Deva Deva, Hara Hara Hara, Maha Maha Maha, Deva Deva Deva, Hara Hara Hara, Shiva Shiva Shiva, Maha Maha Maha, Deva Deva Deva, Hara Hara Hara, Maha Maha Maha, Deva Deva Deva, Hara Hara Hara, Maha Maha Maha, Hara Hara Hara, Shiva Shiva Shiva, Maha Maha Maha, Deva Hara Hara Hara. Whoa, whoa, oh. I just wanted to do that for you. Our name is in French. I give the introduction in English anyway. In moments of despair, through which we all can go through, we really need to take refuge in an ideal by inspiring ourselves in his courage, in his strength. In this song, our prayer is dedicated to Swami Vivekananda, the great sage of India. The song is After Long Hours of Silence. The walls has cracked down. The tears has stared off my face. I cannot go any further. My pain is in the hands. My throat is so aching, crying out my mantra. I cannot go any further. Vivekananda, pray for me. Let the sun burn and blow in my eyes. Everything will be away. Des heures de silence, les murs, le centre, les yeux fixés sur l'extrémité. J'ai la gorge irritée. Je ne me sens plus vivant. Je ne me sens pour moi. Danse autour de moi. Fais tourner le soleil. Que tout s'enflamme. Vive car autour de moi. Souffle-moi dans les yeux. Que tout s'efface. Vive car. Les mains usées par tant d'insistance, laisse-moi enfin briser l'indifférence, tourner des pages sans rien y comprendre. Chante pour moi, je veux pouvoir t'entendre. Vive car, prie pour moi, danse autour de moi, fais tourner le soleil, que tout s'enflamme. Vive car, danse autour de moi, souffle, que tout s'efface. Vive car. Vivica, prie pour moi, danse autour de moi, fais tourner le soleil, que tout s'enflamme, vite danse autour de moi, souffle-moi dans les yeux, face, Vivica.
To be one of the masters of our time, and based on his ideal harmony of religion, which we need so badly nowadays. And you are going to Sri Ramakrishna.
Jaya Sri Ramakrishna, Ramakrishna, Jaya Ramakrishna, my Lord, King of Kings, thyself to me, I crave thy mercy, cast on me thy glance. I dedicate my life in this fiery furnace. Sri Ramakrishna, oh, Jaya, and life is sail. Krishna, oh, Jaya Sri Ramakrishna, Krishna, my Lord.
You have Marin here to help you with the words, but I know you know it. Are you ready?
Jaya, 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 my Lord.
Okay, bring it up.
Jaya, 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 Jaya.
Okay. Let's do it again. I sing, you repeat.
Jaya, 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 my Lord, to you.
Jaya, Jaya, Jaya.
Okay,
Jaya, 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 oh, Jaya, Jaya, oh, reveal to me, I crave, cast on me thy glance, Sri Ramakrishna, Krishna, my Lord, Jaya Rama, my Lord, Jaya Sri Ramakrishna, my Lord, Krishna, Ramakrishna, my Lord.
Thank you.
les yeux, la tête sur la terre, le corps en l'envers. Je pense à l'instant jusqu'à toi. Tu avais la force d'un lion, le courage d'un petit enfant, l'amour dans le sang. Narendranatha, Vivekananda, le jour où tu m'as amené jusqu'à toi, jusqu'à toi. Narendranatha, Omkara, Omkara, Narendranatha, Vivekananda. Par un soir de pluie difficile, les yeux tourbillonnant dans le vent, je fixais ton soleil, planté mon courage et je suis arrivé jusqu'à toi. Je n'ai maintenant plus rien à voir, surtout plus rien. Le temps semble moins long au fil de tes saisons depuis que je suis là devant toi. Narendranatha, Vivekananda, devant toi. Oh, Omkara, Omkara, Narendranatha, Omkara, Vivekananda. Shiva, Omkara, Shiva, Sada Shiva, Omkara, Natha, Vivekananda.
Thank you. Next song is also in French, so I'm giving a little translation. He began addressing himself to the Divine Mother. He was singing, "O Mother, devotees, dance thyself and dance in the lotus of my heart, dance in the." And we goddess Durga, Jai Sri Durga Ma. It's this chorus, Jai Jai Durga Durga.
Jai Jai Durga Durga Jai Jai Durga Durga Jai Jai Durga Durga oh 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 Durga Ma. La joie de dévouement sans limite. Danse toi-même et fais-nous danser. De mon cœur dans le sommeil. Danse, danse par ta beauté, ensorcelle l'univers. Jai Durga Durga Jai Jai Durga Durga Jai Jai Durga Durga Jai Jai Durga Durga oh 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 oh. Jai Sri Durga Jai Jai Durga Durga Jai Jai Durga Durga Jai Jai Durga Durga Jai Jai Durga Durga oh 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 oh. Jai Sri Durga Ma. Jai Durga Ma. Jai Sri Durga Ma. Danse, mère, la joie de dévot croit sans limite. Danse toi-même et fais-nous danser. Dans le lotus de mon cœur, dans le sommeil. Danse, danse par ta beauté, ensorcelle l'univers. Refasse. Jai Jai Durga Durga Jai Jai Durga Durga Jai Jai Durga Durga Jai Jai Durga Durga oh 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 Jai Sri Durga, Jai Jai Durga Durga Jai Jai Durga Durga Jai Jai Durga Durga Jai. Eh oh oh, eh oh oh, eh oh oh. Jai Sri Durga, Mama Mama, hey 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 hey, Mama Mama, hey 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 hey, Mama Mama, hey 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 hey, Mama Mama, hey 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 hey. Danse aux mers, danse, danse par ta beauté, ensorcelle l'univers. Everybody, Jai Jai Durga Jai Jai Durga Durga Jai Jai Durga Durga oh 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 oh. Jai Sri Durga Jai Jai Durga Durga Jai Jai Durga Durga Jai Jai Durga Durga Jai Jai Durga Durga oh 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 oh. Jai Sri Durga Ma, Jai Durga Ma, Jai Durga Ma, Jai Sri Durga Ma. Merci beaucoup. We will continue with a poem from Rumi. You may say it's about passing. You may also say we go backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. But what we should never do, then you don't progress. Don't go back to sleep. At dawn, secrets to tell you. Don't go back, don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the touch. People are and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. Is how I would die for you. Oh, this soul light, this soul sunlight. On a poem of He who is realized. It's a prayer to overcome all difficulties in life. To gain the courage, not worries, but to overcome. Have extra
to dominate these awful things. And further, that we sorrow, but that we find freedom. Be yours.
J'ai le courage de le demander, non pas la fin de ma souffrance, cœur dominé. Ne cherche pas sur le champ, mais que je avalokite shvara, avalokite shvara, avalokite shvara. Mais puisse par ma patience conquérir avalokite shvara, avalokite shvara, avalokite shvara, avalokite shvara, avalokite shvara, shvara. Thank you very much. Before we will sing our to take the occasion to thank Reverend Swamijis, all Matajis. It's wonderful to be together here. And all the team, because it is an organization at all. All the guards, the water, the food, and the children. It's simply wonderful. And we will sing our last song. It's a gospel from the group Spain. Josh Haden has written it. I'm sure you might know him. It's American. And this gospel is particularly a cry to Jesus for two reasons. A cry that he comes in his presence, but also a happy cry saying, Hallelujah! It's a celebration. You will sing with us, certainly. Jesus,